Woo. We have a big one in Oxford, 2:30 ABC, LSU at Ole Miss. And you know what's happened the last 2 years and the way the games have gone down. Unbelievable. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, is brought to you by Southern Ag Credit, financing life outside the city limits. Southern Ag Credit, southernagcredit.com, financing life outside the city limits. Also, the show is brought to you by Sound and Communications. Your next video wall, call Sound and Communications for your lobby, your conference room, your arena, business, hospitals, and so on. We welcome in Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans, LSU Insider, and Mike D joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Mike, what is the latest on Caden Durham, the running back at LSU?
He's questionable for the game. They thought it was probably a high ankle sprain. Looks as though it's not that, but still, you got an ankle sprain. Man, it's difficult to come back from that to play again, a game on a Saturday afternoon. So we'll see how it goes during the week. I think you're going to have a lot of running back by committee, so to speak, with the Tigers.
Okay.
It hadn't been a strong suit for them all season. They haven't been able to run the football very well. So, and I think Caden's a hell of a back. He's a really good football player. But he's battled, last year was a toe injury, and then this year with the ankle injury. But their offensive line, they can pass block pretty well, but they're run blocking. They're not a real physical team up front. Well, really aren't.
All right, Ole Miss, Arkansas did what they wanted with them. Obviously, Tulane couldn't get anything going. If Kentucky would have had any quarterback play, they would have probably done some things too. So what are your expectations for this LSU offense going against this Ole Miss defense? I mean, do you expect them to have success through the air and kind of the same old on the ground that they've done the last few weeks?
It's going to be erratic as far as running the football with LSU. Every once in a while they hit a big play, and so expect you'll see a lot of the freshmen, Harlem Berry, to get some of that load as a running back, and certainly Juwan Johnson, who was a tremendous high school quarterback. They tried to play safety, and that wasn't a spot for him. I mean, he should be touching the football. He should either be a running back or a receiver. It took him a year to figure it out, but, he's also going to see a lot of action there. But, LSU's going to win or lose this game by how well they can throw the football downfield. And they got some weapons, and certainly with Tre'Davious Green coming back from his injury, it gives them a huge man from a short yardage red zone target. You talk about a 6'7.5" flex wide receiver tight end. He's a difficult, guy to go up against downfield. And I think that they're going to try to target him quite a bit.
Okay.
They like to throw the football to the tight end. So Bauer Sharp, who was formerly at Southeastern, Oklahoma, and now at LSU, I think those two guys get the ball out quickly, see what you can get underneath. And they haven't done a lot of it, but I expect them to try to get the ball deep downfield. It's something you can just hear it in the voice of Nussmeier and Brian Kelly that they want to do a little bit more of. And that's push the envelope by throwing the football, deeper downfield.
Considering the running game hasn't been that good, how do you think Garrett Nussmeier has played to date?
Yeah, I think he's done really well. To be honest with you, when he was fighting an upper body injury, and Garrett's a guy that's a bit of a gunslinger. He's going to take some chances, Bo, as a passer. But man, he's smart, he's accurate, and boy, when he gets hot, you got yourself say that peripheral tiger by the tail. You got something there, man, because you can tell real early in a game if it's going to be one of those type games for him. He's almost like a baseball pitcher that those first 4 or 5 pitches in a game, and you say, wow, this might be really tough for another team. And then you watch him pitch sometimes, and you say, well, this might be a short outing for the pitcher, or he's going to have troubles throughout the game. That is very similar to Nussmeier this year. You can almost tell. I thought he played an excellent game against Clemson. He struggled in some of the other 2 games now because of the competition too. But he was outstanding against Southeastern. But it was almost like skeleton drill, to be honest with you. Other than the first drive, he was on target, and they got everybody involved. And I think that is something, because the offense is Brian Kelly's baby. That's his deal. He wants to get multiple people involved offensively from a wide receiver standpoint, because that's the strength of his team, to be honest with you, is the receiving core on offense.
LSU insider Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds show and the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. LSU at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is laying 1.5, and the line's kind of wiggled around a good bit. So since being released, I guess, Sunday morning. Okay, so those receivers that's going to be a handful for the Ole Miss secondary. I mean, that's what they're going to target early and to get that rolling. Right, Mike?
Yeah, I think they're gonna test Ole Miss's secondary. And replaying what they played against Tulane. Tulane's receivers couldn't get open at all. Actually, Retzloff had a little bit of time to throw the ball, and he kept looking. Man, Ole Miss's secondary did a great job shutting him down. He could not find an open receiver downfield. LSU is a little bit more fast tempo. They like to get the ball out very quickly. If it's to an Aaron Anderson or, Nick Anderson, Barrion Brown. Chris Hilton has not been a big part of their offensive attack. Last week, Brian Kelly spoke about we got to get Chris Hilton more involved. But you can see, Nussmeier really likes to throw that short game and kind of break you down little by little by little, and then hit you with the big play. So, Ole Miss didn't let Tulane do that. They shut those receivers down. But again, when you look at it, LSU's strength offensively is their receivers and tight ends, and you can see that's if they're going to win this game. And this game's crazy because of the fact the last 4 years the home team has won. Mm-hmm. It's been some wild games, especially the last 2. It's really been crazy. But I think part of why it's a 1.5, 2-point favorite for Ole Miss has been that the home team and a lot of gamblers, they go back. They're going to gamble on maybe a little trend. And the trend has been the home team. But the crazy part of this, and normally this game is not played until late October, but it is the first time LSU, Ole Miss, have come in here undefeated and untied since 1959. Halloween night, wow. Billy Cannon's run.
Wow.
In Tiger Stadium. First time they've come in here both undefeated and untied.
Wow. Okay. Mike Detillier, LSU insider, Ole Miss laying 1.5 against LSU, 2:30 ABC on Saturday. Been a wild series for a long time, but definitely as of late. Mike D joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. This is 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. All right, Mike, let's go to the defensive side of the football and what Baker's been doing and Harold Perkins and the LSU secondary. This matchup against Trinidad Chambliss, I think Austin Simmons is out for a little while. We'll see. But is this LSU's strength, the defensive side of the football?
Yeah, no question. And we've talked about this throughout the offseason. The biggest improvement with LSU was in the secondary and along the defensive line. They rotate 9 guys along the defensive line, constant rotation by Blake Baker. But I think the one area, for years they were given that moniker of DBU, and they earned it. The last 4 or 5 years, man, ain't nothing close to it. Nothing. I mean, 2019 they had a good unit in the secondary, but that was about it. Ever since then, they have not really played well in the secondary. It's been a liability more than a strength. This year, it's a strength. And in the offseason, I meet up with Corey Raymond, long-time SEC secondary coach, had been with LSU for a long time. And he goes to Florida for a few years, and he came back. He took a little bit of heat, certainly last year, but he tells me, hey, if I mess it up this year, it ain't about talent. It's about me. And they went out and got, Mansour Delane, who is the best cover cornerback they've had at LSU since Stingley. And Stingley, I think he's the highest paid defensive back, cornerback in pro football. But Delane is a really good player. I mean, really good. And teams rarely have tested his side. Clemson tried, and I think they got 1 completion on 8 attempts. He had 3 knockdowns and, pass interception. So teams have stayed away from that. They went after P.J. Woodland instead. Man, I wish I could give P.J. some weight because he says he's 165, 170 pounds. No way. He's more like 160 at best. But, man, he's played well. And then DJ Pickett, the number 1 rated cover cornerback in the high school ranks last year, comes to LSU. Their safeties, their top 2, A.J. Halsey, is a guy who came in from Houston, has done a great job. DeMarcus Cooley, Tamarcus comes in from North Carolina State. They have solidified that safety position through the transfer portal. And then Deshaun Spears, young man from Louisiana, against Florida, he played 9 plays and had 2 pass interceptions. So it was limited, but boy, he made the most of it. It's really, Bo, the one area across the board for LSU that has become a strength for them that I would have told you a year ago it was their biggest weakness. And they did it basically through the transfer portal. And, okay, Pickett, he is who he is. And I've never seen this in my life. I've never seen a 6'4.5" cornerback at the college level.
No.
That could play like him.
No.
Brian Kelly has compared him to Kyle Hamilton, who was a safety for him at Notre Dame. He said he could do everything. And so he's the number 3 guy. Ashton Stamps, who was LSU's best cover cornerback last year, he's their 4 guy this year. He's the 4th corner on this team.
Okay.
So, man, that goes to tell you there was a lot of change in the secondary, but it is a strength for them. And they get a really good push up front. They really do. And it's kind of sprinkled between young high school players that they were able to bring in and also transfer portal guys. But to rotate 9, and I'm not even talking about Perkins, and you got Whit Weeks and Wes, and, man, it's like the law firm of Weeks and Weeks and Weeks. They got 3 of them at LSU, along with Harold Perkins. They finally figured out how to use Harold, other than his freshman year. And it's really, defensively, they've played extremely well this year. This is certainly, though, the best offense that they've played, the best scheme design they've played all year long going up against LSU. So Ole Miss's strength, which is their offense, now goes up against LSU's strength, defense. That's what styles make a fight, right?
Right.
Always. And I think you're going to see it. The shocking thing for me is who the hell put this game at 2:30 in the afternoon? Which genius at the SEC office came up with this idea to play this game at 2:30 in the afternoon? I know Coach Kiffin talked about it too. He was shocked, but nothing surprised me anymore from the SEC.
Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans, LSU Insider, talking LSU at Ole Miss at 2:30 on ABC on Saturday. And as Mike just laid out the strengths of the two teams, LSU's defense, Ole Miss offense. I can't wait to see who wins that battle. Do you think that LSU is going to have, I mean, they'll lose containment at times, but do you think that they can have success holding Trinidad Chambliss to, not having a big day with his legs, because the dude can move around, the transfer from Fair State University?
Yeah, I think Harold Perkins will play as the spy. He did that against Klubnik. That was his job in that game. And, man, they sent him from every position out on the football field. And if you watch the last play offensively for Clemson, watch where Harold Perkins lined up. He was lined up to the right of Klubnik. Okay, so Klubnik takes the snap. He went around all the defensive linemen, straight arrow shot at Klubnik. Man, and Kate got rid of the football much quicker than I think he really wanted to, because of the fact Blake Baker had constantly moved him around. He had played on the left side, right side. You saw him in the middle. You saw him with his hand in the dirt. You saw him standing up. Every play was a bit of an adventure. But his job was, do not let Klubnik get out of containment. Keep him in the pocket. Make him throw the ball. It sort of reminded me a little bit of when Chief was here and they played Johnny Manziel in Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny went berserk with that. And Manziel had told me at Manning camp, man, I hate to play LSU because of what John Chavis throws at me. And it was sort of a teacup, or what do you want to call a sugar rush? Okay, stay in your lanes, force him to beat me throwing the ball. Throw it. I'm not going to let you run around. I'm going to keep you in the pocket. That drove Manziel nuts, because when he played Alabama and some of the other teams, they tried to rush him, and Johnny would somehow elude him and get away, and he'd make a big play on the run, or he would just take off running. And it has some similarities to how Chief, when he was here, how he played. But Blake, you're going to see Harold Perkins come from a lot of different areas. That's what he wants to do with Perkins. Sort of hide him, but use him as the spy for Chambliss. And I think he'd have done the exact same thing if Austin Simmons was quarterback also. I think he'd have done similar things to him to try to confuse the quarterback, to make a mistake. He did it with, the Lagway at Florida. You saw Harold all over the field. And you could almost tell Lagway's GPS was on him, and I got to get rid of it. I got to get rid of it. And, look what happened. He threw 5 interceptions. Until, sometimes there's real pressure on the field, and sometimes, as my old partner at WWL always says, there's phantom pressure. And until you've ever played that position at that level, you don't understand what phantom pressure is. You think you got it, and then he's really not there, but you almost feel it. And that's what Blake Baker has been able to do with Harold Perkins.
Wow, this is going to be a hell of a matchup. LSU at Ole Miss on Saturday. Mike Detillier on the show. Mike, I got a couple more minutes here. Let's transition to the disaster. This is the New Orleans Saints. They're 0-3, and now they get to go to Buffalo, and they're a 16.5-point underdog. 15.5, excuse me. I mean, do we see a win in the foreseeable future for this franchise?
Well, it won't be next Sunday. Put it that way. Man, and I've got gambling people that I know really well say, man, look, they would rarely do it because most of the time, the odds are against you of somebody covering that big of a spread. But, man, you see how lackadaisical they were. They didn't even seem prepared going up against Seattle. And for the first time in a long time, this team, they melted down on special teams to give up a 95-yard punt return. You get a punt blocked. You miss field goal with grouping. Man, it was really bad. It was awful. And so then you go play in Buffalo, and it's one of the hottest tickets you can get for a Bills game. You know why? They rarely play at 12 noon Central, 1 Eastern in Buffalo. Most of these Bills games are primetime games. So they are like 3:30 in the afternoon, at night, Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. They got basically Central Standard Time, they got a 12 noon game in Buffalo. And it is prime ticket money they're getting for those.
Wow.
It's a rarity now because you that good that you're going to play at that time frame.
Okay.
Now, you might play at 12 noon if you play in the Jets or the Patriots, but a home game in Buffalo. So, man, it's big time. So they got people that I know of here that got into the Saints plan, that they bought tickets and now they're selling them for like triple the amount of money to Bills fans because it's a rarity.
Wow.
That they play in Buffalo at noontime on a Sunday evening.
Wow. All right. This is going to be a heck of a week. That was good. Mike Detillier doesn't get any better than that. He gave us 20-something minutes on LSU at Ole Miss. Kiffin against Brian Kelly. This could be one hell of a ball game. It sure was the last couple of years. Mike D., have a great week, my man. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Bo. Hey, listen, I'll tell you the one thing LSU offensive linemen are saying. Thank God Ole Miss's Walter Nolan ain't there. Last year, he was more in the backfield than Nussmeier was.
Thanks, Mike D. That's true. Walter Nolan was an unbelievable football player. We are the Out of Bounds Show, and lunch today is brought to you by Martin's in Livingston. Guess what they have today? Guess what their blue plate is? The ribs. They started smoking hours ago. That's right. Martin's in Livingston, Martin's downtown. The blue plate special, ribs, baby. Back in a second.